We're just talking about the offensive weapons, not inclusive of the quarterback. And you see San Francisco, Green Bay is lower on this list than you might have expected. They're all the way down there at 19. And my particular interest was in the New York Jets, who are all the way down there near the very bottom. So one looks at this list and one looks particularly at the Cleveland Browns. And, you know, Marcus, I'm thinking back to the conversation that we had with Baker Mayfield when we were at the Super Bowl in Miami. He was on our set. You were a part of that discussion. And I suppose one would ask the question, if you agree that Baker has at his disposal the second best group of offensive weapons of any quarterback in the entire National Football League, I would ask just how much pressure you think there is on him to perform this season.
All of it, G. And listen, this was a part of that process for Baker Mayfield. What they do, they put you in a great situation with a lot of great players around you, and then this year is Baker's year to say, I can do this or I can't. And that's where we are. When you look at, even on their offensive line, you got Treader at center now, you got Conklin, you draft Jedrick Wills from Alabama. Everybody talked about how the offensive line was deficient, and that was the problem. We have made sure that Baker Mayfield has evaded his responsibility in making sure that this offense goes where it needs to go. This year, for all intents and purposes, based on the draft, based on signings in the offseason, and those two guys on the outside, Jarvis Landry and OBJ, this is going to have to be Baker Mayfield's year where he tells the Cleveland Browns organization, I am the guy going forward. Because if not, there is nothing else to point to.
Danny, why the face?
I mean, it's the NFL. Every quarterback has pressure on them. Marcus, did you just say that the Browns put Baker in a good situation? His first 2 years have been a tragically bad situation. So, yes,
I'm talking about leading
Baker to
into
play
this
well.
year.
There's a pressure, but this is the first year that we can sit here and say that with confidence that it is a good situation. Like last year, there was a massive question mark. And I still think that there is still a question mark with what Stefanski is, and Baker needs to play well. No one is debating that. We all know that Baker needs to value the football better, but he has been set up to fail his first 2 years. Right now, he is just another statistic in the NFL of young quarterbacks that get ruined rather than they get made. But to sit here and say this is a make or break year, or he's got more pressure than anybody in the NFL, I don't agree with. This is his first year that all of us are sitting here confidently going,
let me ask you a question.
You know what, they've finally done well for him. What's your question?
If Baker Mayfield goes out this year and throws another 21 interceptions, what are you going to say at the end of the year?
I'm going to sit here and say I was wrong about Baker and I was wrong about this season. Baker Mayfield will not throw 21 interceptions this year. I did after this past season, yes. Baker Mayfield will not throw 21 interceptions this year. I will bet you $100 Baker less than 10 interceptions this year and more than 25 touchdowns. Marcus, just look at the scheme alone. Look at the scheme alone. The 5 guys that played in this offense that they're bringing over from Minnesota last year are Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, and Ryan Tannehill. They won 70% of their games. They won 70% of their games. They complete 66% of their passes. Their passer rating's 99% just in this offense.
Man.
They threw for 123 touchdowns. He's going to play well. He's going to play well.
None
of those guys have the weapons that Baker has.
Get Lewis.
Let me get Lewis into the conversation here, Lewis, because I think the two of them are illustrating what is actually the point, which is how do you fairly evaluate Baker Mayfield when he has been, I agree with Dan, in a terrible situation the first 2 years. He's on his 4th head coach, and he hasn't even started his 3rd year yet. So how will you reasonably evaluate him when this season is done?
Yeah, I think context is what we're talking about, and context matters. And look, there are more quarterbacks that get ruined than get made in the NFL by virtue of who they're surrounded by. And this year with Baker, although, look, the shift is already on. It's already happened as far as the Cleveland Browns moving from hope to expectations. They expect them to be better this year. They expect them to be better because of the kinds of personnel that they have on the football field overall 1 through 53. And with Baker Mayfield, look, he is going to be expected now to go ahead and make a leap, regardless of the fact that you have a first-time head coach, regardless of the fact that Kevin Stefanski does not have Gary Kubiak sitting there as kind of a safety net for him and running and having Gary to kind of absolutely sit there and weigh in on whether or not, certain play calls are the right play calls in certain situations. I understand what Dan is saying as far as this offense having made quarterbacks in the past. But Kevin Stefanski's on an island now. Now it's his show. Baker Mayfield has all the weapons in the world, and I could not argue against the fact that he has one of the best, supporting cast in the NFL. But with that still is coming expectations, and he needs to perform, no question about it. And if he doesn't, there aren't going to be many excuses offered up for him. Simple as that. And I think, fair or not, that's just the way it is in the NFL. And Baker has to deliver this year. There's no question about it.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.